So we'll call this meeting of the Osceola County School Board to order. We want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We will have our invocation tonight led by Mr. Weishauer, our Pledge of Allegiance, our invocation done by, not just led by, Mr. Weishauer, our Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Cindy Stevens, our mission statement, Heather Miller, translation services, Belinda Reyes. And we don't have a national anthem tonight, but Jay, he wore the shirt. So would you like to sing?
You don't want me to sing,
Okay.
Ricky. That's very kind of you, Mr. Booth, but we don't want to clear the room that easily.
What things have you not done since you've been on?
So if I could, before we rise, if I could ask everyone to silence their cell phones or any electronic devices, we would appreciate that. And if you would, please all stand. Mr. Weishauer.
Thank you. It'd be my honor to lead us in prayer if you would join me at this time. God, we come before you this evening, always humble and grateful that you're our God, our Creator, and our Sustainer. The opportunity we have to come before you in prayer and humility to ask for your wisdom and your guidance and your discernment in the decisions that we make. We thank you for the blessings we have in this great community. We thank you for the teachers and staff that support learning every single day, for the administrators that inspire and lead and guide the work that happens not just on campuses but across the school district as a whole. We thank you for this board that's chosen to dedicate themselves to service to this community. And it's our prayer tonight that the decisions that we make, the discussions that we have, and the things that we do will ultimately honor you, glorify you, and serve the best interests of the community we represent. It's in Christ's name that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Mrs. Stevens.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Ms. Miller.
The School District of Osceola County is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you. Senora Reyes.
My name is Belinda Reyes, and I'm here for the Translation Services. Mi nombre es Belinda Reyes, y estoy aquí para proveer servicios de traducción.
Gracias. All right, we will have our comments now, positive comments, hopefully, from our board members and superintendent. I'll start with Mr. Wheeler.
For tonight, it is very personal for me. First off, my baby, who's bigger than me, just graduated from Celebration High School May 24th, and that was terrific. I've been on this board since 2002, and that's when my kids started school here. So 16 years later, my kids are done, and my term is coming to an end, my fourth term. And I want to thank, first off, graduation was great, but I want to thank everybody who taught my kids. Two administrators here, Ms. Clayton, who was at Celebration K, Dr. Reinhardt was at Celebration High School when my daughter was there. And I want to thank you all. And I need to thank a lot of people you don't know is that, and I don't know how she did it and why she did it, but I'm grateful to her. Dr. Pace mentored my son the last few years. I'm surprised she didn't beat him up, but that's another story. But I want to thank everybody for, graduation was great. It's always been a pleasure being here, but having both my kids go through the system, graduate, be successful. My daughter is going into her senior year at UCF doing great. My son starts this year at University of Alabama as a freshman. So I just want to personally thank everybody for what they've done for my family. Thank you all very much.
All right. On behalf of my dad, roll tide to your son. Mr. Soto.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, board, superintendent, and our esteemed guest, I'd like to share with you briefly that for the first time ever, we were able to have two of our students participate in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute Next Generation Leadership Program. And it's a fully paid internship. I had a very good friend of mine from Orange County, Jose Fernandez, who is the director and owner of the Florida Compass Group. He was able to raise the funds that allowed for this scholarship to happen for us. It came in on the last moment, but, I had no doubt that the staff here was going to help me. Tanya Culver and Belinda Reyes and her staff at the Multicultural Department were able to find us two students at the last minute to participate in this internship, fully paid, Washington, D.C. for a whole week. And It is the first time that we've had participants. We will have participants every year from this point forward, and I just wanted to share that wonderful news with everyone. That's it. Thank you.
That's awesome, Mr. Soto. Thank you. I'll go ahead and take my time right now. I just wanted to say thank you to all the folks who help with the graduations. I know that's a big undertaking to get that many kids across the stage. I was able to attend 3 of those graduations, and they all went off without a hitch. So thank you to all the faculty and staff of the schools and to all the folks here at the district that helped put the graduations on. And congratulations to our graduates and their parents, like Mr. Wheeler over here. So congratulations to all of you. Mr. Thacker?
No comments. I was going to say exactly what you said.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Weishauer?
Ditto.
Dr. Pace?
And I would only add, we do congratulate our students and our staff members for the success that graduation represents, but I also wanted to comment that Senator Victor Torres made a real effort to be in attendance at our graduations and to support that effort, so we want to thank you to him for his participation. We also had a couple of other exciting events. We were able to acknowledge our business partners at our
That's right.
appreciation luncheon. Thank you, Chairman Booth, and the community relations team for putting that on. Some amazing business partners across this community who really rise to the occasion. Our business partners of the year were the Osceola County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Russ Gibson, who's just been an amazing partner this year in helping us with lots of different things to immediately step up and start to increase school safety and security, and it's going to be instrumental in helping us have SRO presence on every campus starting in August, so we're very excited about that, as well as then Bridge at Neo City, which has done just amazing work both with our high school programs, Neo City Academy, but also from the elementary school and middle school way down to start to introduce our students to the high-tech world that is coming to Osceola County. So we thank them as well as the rest of our business partners for that work. Thank you, Chairman Booth.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. That'll move us into our presentations. Tonight we have 2, and we'll start with Mr. Allen, our middle school state science fair competitors.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent. It is our pleasure to bring forward tonight our students who competed in the State Science Fair this past March. These students, as well as their sponsors, superbly represented Osceola School District at the state level and are certainly deserving of acknowledgement and recognition. I would like to invite District Resource Teacher, Ms. Heather Miller, to the podium, as well as Chairman Booth and Superintendent Pace, if you'd be so kind to step forward to help recognize and congratulate these students.
All right. To recognize the Osceola Science Fair participants at the state level, our first student is Jenna Barnett. Jenna competed in chemistry and had special recognition from the state in her project. Congratulations, Jenna. Our second student is Donovan Bohannon. Donovan competed in the Earth and Environmental Sciences category and also received a special award from the state and from other counties in his excellence in data collection. Our third student is not able to be here, but Mason Green competed in behavioral and social sciences. Our fourth student is Noah Jenkins, who competed in math and computational sciences. Noah placed first in the state in math and was invited to the Broadcom Masters competition, which is a national competition for middle school. Our next student is Kenneth Koch. He competed in earth and environmental sciences. And his mom is representing him tonight.
Is he Skyping right now?
Nope.
Congratulations, Mom.
Oh, that's great. All right, our next student is Madeline Perry. Madeline competed in engineering and placed fourth in the state in her engineering project. Our final student recipient is Jacqueline Scipio, who competed in physics and astronomy at the state.
Wonderful.
And then I would also like to recognize our two science fair coordinators, Karen Perry and Deb Bohannon, who both work tirelessly on science fair to make this possible and represent our kids at the state level. So thank you so much, Karen and Deb. I'm sorry, it's the Science and Engineering Fair. Science and Engineering Fair. Thank you once again, kids. Congratulations.
Oh, there is one correction. It's the State Science and Engineering Fair. Just so you know.
All right.
No, that's all right. Congratulations again, guys. We appreciate you coming out. We're happy to do that. Happy to honor you guys.
You're welcome to all stay.
Our second presentation, I guess I'll just turn it over to Sarah Graber, and she'll tell us all about it. How about that?
Good evening. I'd like to invite Miss Cindy Stevens to come up to the podium with me. And while she's on her way up here, I'm just going to brag about her for just a second before we do the scholarship presentation. As most of you know, Cindy is our accounts payable supervisor. She was our Employee of the Year this year for the Business and Finance Department and also a district finalist. Cindy has been absolutely instrumental in spearheading our electronic payment program, which has brought in some additional revenue to the district as part of our strategic plan initiatives. She was also first in the state to win the FASBO's Certified Florida School Business Specialist. And most recently, she was selected by FASBO, which is the Florida Association of School Business Officials organization, as their outstanding business official this year. And as part of that award, she was given an all-expense-paid trip to Memphis, Tennessee for the regional SASBO conference. And while she was there, she got some exciting news about a scholarship opportunity. So I'm going to turn it over to her to discuss the scholarship and present it.
Thank you for those nice comments. Part of my award was to be able to recognize one of our school district graduating seniors, give them a $250 scholarship to the college of their choice. So I opened it up to our finance department because this is all about business. And I'd like to now call up Oscar Torres to the podium, please. Oscar is a graduating senior from Gateway High School. He will be attending Valencia Community College in the fall. And it is my honor to issue to you to this $250 scholarship.
Very nice.
Congratulations, young man. Good? Okay, that will move us to the public comment section of our meeting tonight. If you do or would like to comment about something here tonight, we do have the one time here that you can comment. You need to get the yellow sheet from the back, fill it out, bring it up to the front. If you haven't already done so, that's fine. I only have one, but in the next 30 seconds or the next 3 minutes, I'm going to say, grab one of those yellow sheets and bring it up here to the board secretary, Ms. Tanya. So with that, I only have one, and Ms. Stevens. Right? Ms. Stevens, I know you know the drill, but please state your name and address for the record, and you do have 3 minutes.
D. Stevens, 218 East Cedarwood Circle, Kissimmee flag. Good evening, and I would like to speak tonight regarding, good evening, Chairman Booth, School Board, Osceola County School Board, and Superintendent Pace. Yes. I'd like to speak tonight regarding some facts regarding Jay Wheeler. I've requested a meeting one-on-one, face-to-face here during the day with Mr. Wheeler there. All right? In 1995, quickly, Mr. Brown, the former legal counsel, he railroaded me, are you going to run again? Then Mr. Wheeler came from the Isle of Catalina, from the Trade Wind Street to the Four Wind Street off of 192. Mr. Wheeler, who brought you into this county in 95? Remember, you're under oath. You took an oath. Every time you come to the meeting, you're under oath.
It's your 3 minutes, Mrs. Stevens.
Who brought you in here?
Brought me in here?
Into Osceola County.
My wife and I bought a house. We found a house, we liked it, we bought it.
All right. Did Harris Rosen have something to do with this? No, all right. Then in 1998, you ran unsuccessfully. Who was the person who approached you to run for school board?
My wife.
Oh, your wife was behind this? I see. All right, there's been a 5,000-page investigation on you in the last couple of years. Second time. The first time you were fined, and the second time you were fined. I'm very disturbed about this because my mother's youngest brother, he was a rabbi. She had, there were 4 children. And I've looked into all this. Now, your wife, I don't want to make any comments today about her. She's not sitting on the school board. What bothers me is that you are a disgrace to the community, that you took money from the campaign. It was a whole write-up here in the Sentinel. You seem to have pull with the Orlando Sentinel because it never was in that paper. Now, I had biased reporting for my first election, second election, from Susan Jacobson, which was continued with Leslie Postal. I will submit this as a document tonight. Now, it's shameful not only to the community, but the Jewish community, that you were fined 31 counts of 33 counts. You're here 16 years now. You plagiarized most of my work.
10 seconds, Ms.
Yes. And the public in the near future has a right to know the harm you have inflicted on me. And
Thank you, Ms.
it's not
Stevens.
right. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wish to submit this as a school board
Okay.
record.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad I only get 3 minutes, so I can't say too much. All right. Thank you and good evening. Okay. Yeah, just keep it in the book. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. I'll be back another time for 3 minutes, and I will write into the paper responding to the Gazette. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Is there anybody else here that wishes to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward into our agenda modifications. We do, Mr. Wheeler, do you have any modifications?
Good.
Mr. Soto? Mr. Thacker?
Yes, I need to pull 12.03 off of the consent agenda.
Okay, so board under,
12.03.
okay, board, we will be pulling 12.3 from the consent facilities agenda and adding it to regular facilities.
12.3.
12.3, we will be adding it under number 17, regular facilities. Okay? Mr. Weishauer?
Yeah, under board member comment or discussion, just want to give you guys an update on Florida School Boards Association and
Okay.
the ongoing discussion regarding rising healthcare costs and some of the work that I've been doing leading up to our time with that group next week.
Okay, thank you. And we want to make sure that everyone knows that we have added a discussion, Dr. Pace has, and I have added the discussion about the change of the date for our retreat. Correct?
Yeah.
That'll be added at the end. It is currently on the published agenda. And we also have under new business the 4-quarter charter school payment. That's already there. So, board, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda with the modifications as stated.
A second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Thacker, a second by Mr. Soto. Board, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Board, that brings us to our informational items. We have our, is Mr. DeBoard here?
Yes.
Okay. For the update on the board for, update to the board for the Center for Employee Health.
Yes, sir.
And then also, just so I can get this out of the way, the second item there is the information on the health and life insurance trust fund.
Right.
So you can move right into that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the information in your packet is the information that you see on a monthly basis for the Center for Employee Health. Just draw a couple of things to your attention. We continue to track the costs avoided by the members that are using the center. It's running at $1,559,000 at this point. The other thing I thought you would be interested in was the no-show rate has dropped to 8%. If you look at this report, the very first column, April 2017, you can see there was 358 no-shows, and during the month of April this year, we're down to 156 no-shows. So the new policy is definitely helping. We've actually, I believe I have 7 people that have moved into that second slot where we're going to be sending them a bill for $25 for a second no-show, but that is much improved, and we appreciate the support of the board in getting this process or this program passed. The other thing under the center is the iPad survey, holding fairly consistency with the top box being at 90 or just below 90% for most of the areas. Still having issues with wait time. This, just as a reminder, the center is open for anybody that's normally in a classroom and doesn't have as much flexibility. This would be a great time for them to make appointments over the summer, and they can call the center and get those appointments scheduled. That would be a great opportunity for them if they're looking to do that. The other item is the monthly report for the month of April from Gallagher. The enrollment basically stayed the same. We did see a slight dip over January, February, and March in the number of claims or the volume of the claims, where we were running substantially higher over the revenue that we were collecting. It was only $128,000. I mean, it's still running higher than what we were collecting, but it's much lower, or has dropped compared to what it was running for January, February, and March. So down from 117%, 118, and 115 to 103. So we continue to monitor claims and try to keep track of large claims. We did see a slight drop in the number and the dollars that were spent in large claims in the month of April as well. So.
Mr. Wheat, is anybody from Florida Hospital here?
No, no.
Okay, then I just want to share this. I wish somebody from Florida Hospital was here. First of all, I recognize the utilization is high, and that's great. One of the, and I go to the clinic, and I'm pleased with it. One of the issues that I can't help but notice with the clinic, number one, we're spending a lot of money, and I get that, and our employees are worth every penny of it. But as we're spending all this money, they don't seem to be able to keep a doctor, and nobody can build a relationship with a doctor. And I wish somebody from Florida Hospital was here, because I would like to address that directly to them. I recognize that's not on us, that's not on you, but you got to wonder, we're spending 2 to 3 million plus a year, and they can't keep a doctor. And if you could at some point bring someone from Florida Hospital here so we can have that conversation
Absolutely.
with them in a public setting, I think that'd be helpful. And I don't think that's too much to ask when you're spending that kind of money. That's all I've got.
It is a topic that we discuss regularly. We meet every week, and but they are having a
And,
tough time.
well, okay, well, with that, and I'll repeat this if they ever come, I think, I've got a lot of friends who are doctors on medical practices. And I think one of the issues you've got is that those doctors who own medical practices, they have a sense of ownership. And when they establish a practice outside of their area, like they open an office in Davenport, they give a doctor, this is your responsibility, and they run it.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors aren't running this. You got managers running it, and the doctors, so maybe they need to switch and recognize that's Florida Hospital's business model. But maybe a business model at a medical facility is medical professionals run it, and professional managers work for the doctor, not the doctor working for them. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Board, anybody else?
This management contract, is it, for how long is it?
It runs through April of 2019.
Next April?
Yes.
All right. Are we contemplating, reviewing and opening we are contemplating?
Absolutely. We're reviewing and we'll be considering all of our options
Looking forward.
and bringing a recommendation.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Board, anything else? Thank you, Mr. DeBoer.
Thank
Before
you.
you go, Ken, before you go, just quick clarification. The contract's not up this summer?
Pardon me?
The contract's not up this summer?
No. We had to get the great minds involved to decipher the contract, but yeah.
Okay. My impression was this summer, that's why I'm asking.
That's
It-
when you corrected that impression, and then as you had to connect some paragraphs,
Okay.
it's up.
Yeah.
It was opening, not contract.
So basically, it was 3 years from the opening of the clinic.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. DeBoer. Gentlemen, our next informational item is the investment performance review by Mr. Richard Pengelly. And I believe that we all have a packet in front of us.
Okay.
And you may be, or am I the only one that has the packet? Everyone.
I've got one. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. I printed those out for you really quick. That's yours. Go for it.
Okay. Well, thank you all for inviting us here to present this
Thank you
report
for
to you. So we'll start off on page 2. And, as we always like to do, give a very brief background on what's going on in the market and the economy and the decisions we're making in the portfolio, how the portfolio is performing for the school districts. As we've done for the past couple of years, we're always focused on what the Fed is thinking, since the Fed controls short-term interest rates. You're, on a relative basis, a short-term fixed income investor. So two things the Fed focuses on: maximizing employment in the economy and keeping prices stable. And they have been fairly successful at that. If you look at the unemployment rate, the last reading was down to 3.8%. A couple years ago, we were saying that full employment for the economy was somewhere around 5%, and so we're well through that. Projection for the rest of this year is that we could get down to 3.6%. So labor markets are very strong. Price stability, as measured by inflation, has improved and increased to their target of 2%. They were concerned over the past couple of years that it was too low. It had been averaging somewhere around 1.5% to 1.6%. So sort of on both measures, they can pat themselves on the back. So they're likely to continue the process that they started in December of 2015. And if you go to page 3, every quarter the Fed puts out a forecast of where it sees short-term interest rates going, and from where we are today, they're projecting increasing short-term rates by another 0.5% in 2018, and then another 0.75% in 2019. So from where we are now to the end of next year, rates they're forecasting rates to increase by 1.25%. Which would be good for the district's portfolio. That would translate directly into higher yields on your investments, the type of investments that you do. So good outlook for rates from the Fed for you all as an investor. If you go to page 4, sort of highlight sort of the anxiety that's probably bothering a lot of investors and likely to cause a lot of volatility in markets. One is that, we're now coming up on, 9-10 years of continuous expansion in the U.S. economy. It's the second largest expansion in the post-war era. Whenever there's some sort of data that comes to the market that potentially indicates that a recession might be around the corner, this sort of anxiety plays on investors' mind. If you think back to February, if you're watching the financial markets, there was a lot of volatility in the stock market around these types of concerns. On page 5, one thing I'll highlight, a portion of the school district's portfolio is invested in what we call credit or corporate type instruments. And generally, they have a little bit higher yield than Treasury and agency securities, so they're a good tool to use to diversify the portfolio. In the first quarter, some of those same sort of fears and anxieties we talked about caused a lot of volatility in the equity markets, and that translated into slightly higher yield spreads on corporate instruments. So you have interest rates going up, and you had corporate spreads widening out. So for the first quarter, they underperformed Treasury and agencies just in that quarter. We've actually seen them bounce back in this quarter, but I wanted to highlight that because that actually translated into some market value declines in your portfolio, which we'll show in a second here. But generally, and again, focus on page 5, generally we still remain positive that this class sector makes sense for the portfolio, and we will continue to monitor it. Page 6 just shows a quarter-by-quarter summary of interest earnings, and as I mentioned, as rates have been increasing, the school district has benefited from higher and higher yields, higher and higher interest earnings. From going back to June 16 to the last quarter, interest earnings have increased by about $47,000 per quarter on an annualized basis. That's almost $200,000 in additional yield that you're picking up because of the higher interest rates. So again, very good thing, and more of it is projected on the horizon. Jumping to page 8, it's a snapshot of the portfolio. Continues to be well diversified. The maturity structure matches its benchmark, which is the 1 to 3 year Treasury index. Overall credit quality is AA, in line with the U.S. government's rating, since that's the type of securities that you hold the most in the portfolio. Return for the quarter was down. When interest rates are rising, that tends to lower market values on bonds. They have an inverse relationship. So in this quarter, you were negative 0.16%. But for the year, the total return was 0.26% versus the benchmark at 0.05%. So you outperformed the benchmark. And again, this is a total return measure, so it's the cash that's coming in, that number we showed before, as well as the swings in the market value. Page 10 just shows a snapshot of the 2017 capital outlay bonds portfolio. That one is just laddered to match your expected draws. As securities mature, cash comes in, we reach out to staff and see if you need the money or if they want us to roll it over. So that performance would really be driven by what your cash flow needs are on that portfolio. And then page 11, 12, and 13 show the compliance of the portfolio with your investment policy, and it's in compliance both on a sector and individual issuer basis. I'll pause there. Questions?
Board, does anybody have any questions?
No questions. Well organized, Richard. Very well organized.
Yeah, I don't have a question. Just a comment and,
Sure.
and a thank you to you, your team, Sarah, your team, and Dr. Pace. The information you continue to provide to us is very helpful, and you always provide a very succinct presentation as well. So I just wanted you to know I appreciate the fact you take the time to be here and communicate to us so we can track what's going on and have these reviews and analysis. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thacker?
He also does the financial management for another board I'm on, and at least you're very consistent. Nothing's changed.
It's the same story?
Okay.
They must
Thank
have the
you.
same policy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and Board, I'll share with you, recently, I've had to deal with some other financial advisors from some other government agencies, and I really appreciate Richard, because some of those other advisors, you say hello to them and they're stuck for an answer. Nice job, I appreciate this.
Yep, I would have to agree with all the comments that I've heard tonight, so thank you very much, Mr. Pangeli, and thank you for coming.
But if you want to
Thank
discount
you.
your rates for us, that's okay.
Thank you. Good
Yeah,
night.
he's leaving now.
Like he said, sometimes they just don't have an answer, right?
Yeah. Okay, Board, that moves us to our regular agenda items. We will begin with our recommendations from Chief of Staff for Teaching, Learning, and Leading. And Board, I'll entertain a motion on item 15.
Motion to approve item 15.01 is submitted. Second.
So I have a motion and by Mr. Wheeler, a second by Mr. Soto. Board, I do have some discussion. I just wanted to ask Dr. Pace, because I know we've had discussions about this charter academy in the past. Is this charter academy going to have an 83% graduation rate next year?
Mr. Booth, I have been in lengthy discussions with Florida Cyber Academy as well as with our staff after the initial review of the application. We've had concerns, as I have shared with the board, throughout the year, particularly about the high school component of the program and their graduation rate. I don't believe they'll have an 83% graduation rate, but we were able to negotiate a settlement to say that they would cap their high school enrollment and concentrate on what they do well from a K-8 perspective, and at the same time understand our expectations for graduation rate as well as for acceleration opportunities for their students as we move forward. And that's hence the recommendation. It is still a concern that so many of their students do not live in Osceola County, but that is beyond our control because of House Bill 7069.
I guess my main question is, will the results from this Cyber Academy have a negative impact on our grade that comes from the state of Florida?
Sir,
Or potentially?
At this point, I can't tell you one way or the other, but I can assure you they do understand our expectations, this board's expectations, and that we will hold them accountable.
Okay.
Let me follow up, Mr. Booth.
Oh, sorry, I see you both have lights
That's
on.
okay.
I'm not paying attention. Go ahead, Mr. Weishauer.
We had conversation about this as well, as you know. I guess my question would be, and I understand your recommendation, I'd maybe have to turn to Dr. Vasquez on this, is whether we did a 5-year, go with the recommendation for the 3-year, or did a shorter term for the renewal. Is there any impact that we should be aware of on the school? Let's say tonight the board decided instead to do a 1-year renewal instead of a 3-year renewal, a 2-year instead of a 3-year. Is there any direct impact that we would realize, they would realize, or not? No.
No.
Should the board decide to go with a 1-year renewal, the charter would fully understand that they have another year to do what they want to do. It is, I cannot in good faith recommend a 5-year renewal.
I agree.
But that is ultimately up to the board.
Mr. Thacker?
Well, my concern was, I think we talked about this 6 months or a year ago, and they were put on pretty firm notice, and it doesn't sound like we're making the progress that the rest of the district is making. I'm not necessarily in favor of extending, but I'm certainly not in favor at all of extending for very long.
No, Board, I'll be honest with you. Are you done, Ms. Beckett?
Yeah.
I cannot support 3 years for the Cyber Academy, only because if we're being judged by the state, I understand the new state law, but the state is judging us as a county. And if this is going to have a negative impact on on the grade that we receive from the state, then we can't afford to allow some, whether they're bringing in students for, I know it's the law, but they're judging us as a county. And so if we can't allow, I believe we can't allow charter schools to come in and operate at less than what we expect in this county. So, Mr. Wheeler?
The question I've got is, for Dr. Pace and Mr. Kruppenbacher first, is there anything that precludes us legally from only extending this 1 year?
No, sir, that is up to the will of the board.
Okay, so the next question I've got, and I've heard what you've all said, and I agree. Can the rest of the board support 1 year and let them on notice? I mean, we expect stellar results. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that, but I'm throwing it out there.
What did you, I'm sorry, Mr. Wooter.
I was saying, at first I wanted to know if we can just extend it for 1 year, and we put them on notice.
Yep.
We expect stellar results. I'd like to also, with those stellar results, I'm gonna lean on Dr. Pace and her team. I guess I'd like to know what kind of predictive assessments they're using, and if we can monitor those as the year goes on. Maybe the kids arrive, they start in August. What kind of assessment are they using between August and November? Is it something we think is valid or not? And if so, what are those results, or are they down the wrong path? And we got to consider termination of this. And that's where you and your team come in, Dr. Pace. So I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but maybe we should withdraw the motions and seconds and consider a 1-year extension.
Mr. Weishauer?
If I'm correct, that's what we did last year, right?
Yes, sir.
We did a 1-year extension to get to this point and to communicate to them the need to improve, and they have improved. You have done evaluation analysis. I feel like they're going in the right direction, although we might say they're not there yet, correct?
The biggest concern is the high school component and the graduation rate. They're really on track for about a 50% graduation rate, according to the data that they've shared with me.
Mr. Thacker? Oh, sorry, Mr.
No, you're
Weishauer,
fine.
go ahead.
No, that was a long pause, I understand.
Yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
Mr. Wheeler, I appreciate your thought, because that's a similar thought I was having, obviously, is I want the board to know I'm inclined to agree for an extension or renewal. I'm not in agreement with the 3-year, and I'm trying to decide personally whether a 1 or a 2 year is the right answer. But I can certainly agree with where you're at.
And on that same note, Tim, as long as we're having that conversation, I guess this is a question, again, for your team, Dr. Pace. Based on what you're telling me, what you said, from a K-8 perspective, there is better than a 9 through 12 perspective, correct, relative to what they're doing?
They have a history of improved performance in the K-8 piece. I will tell you that their third grade scores went down by 2 points, but ours did as well.
Okay,
So I can say that the states did as well.
So K-8...
And they still do not have a principal, but they have stepped in to oversee the school. They have administered testing, to the best of our knowledge, to exceed the 95%. So we do believe that they are working very hard to comply with the expectations of the board.
Okay, so the K-8 is adequate for now. So with that said, what can we do to encourage them to drop 9 through 12 for another renewal next year without is there anything we can do?
Their board was not interested in dropping the 9 through 12, but they did agree to cap the enrollment.
Okay.
What, Mr. Thacker, please, go ahead.
I guess my concern is, I have a hard time with a 1-year extension even, primarily because we kind of gave them a 1-year extension last year. And I take those things pretty serious when we do it. And I guess I have to take your word, they've increased improvement or increased at K-8, but not 9, 10, 11, 12. And if I'm reading their schedule right, for 2018, 2019, there's 100 seniors. And to think that 50 of these seniors may not graduate, where if they were in a traditional school, it would be a higher number.
They have indicated that they fully understand that we expect the graduation rate to be at or better than ours as we move forward.
Would there be any, well, let me ask this. What if we, could we amend which grade levels that they're allowed to have? And no, it has to be the good. We could do the 3-year contract, but we cannot.
You can do 1, you can do 2, 3, 4, or 5.
But not to. So we couldn't say, hey, you can just be K through 8 or even K through 11. We're just not going to allow you to have this impact, this negative impact on our graduation rate.
Can the district, just briefly, can we table this? Is it possible for the purpose of seeing if we could come to an extension just on the K through 8th grades?
No, we can't do that.
No, negotiate, can't dictate. Can that be something that we can negotiate?
We can talk about it. I don't think you really have any negotiating position because you had a recommendation from the superintendent to go forward, and if I was on their side of the table, this is what we're moving forward. We're asking for an extension. I think knowing the state of these issues, your most prudent thing right now, if you're uncomfortable with it, is to do the one and send a strong message that there's really going to have to be improvement, or you're not getting another one, basically.
That sounds reasonable. If I could just, that sounds reasonable. Here's what I hear from the board, and the concern about, number one, going forward with the expectation of a 50% graduation rate. Number two, a district recommendation for a 3-year extension, where we just find out that we don't expect that graduation rate to increase. And so here, I find myself on the fence here as to how long do we tolerate something like a 50% graduation rate. As a parent, I wouldn't tolerate it at all. As a school board member, a matter of policy, I don't tolerate that. Not 50%. Not without some beyond clear and convincing.
How many of those 100 students are our students? Well, they're all technically our. How many of those students are Osceola County students of the 100?
I don't have an exact count on high school students. I've just looked at, in terms of domicile, we've just looked at overall enrollment.
But would you say that the enrollment is, what I think last
About 20% live in Osceola County of overall enrollment.
Yeah, so it's 80% of these students are not Osceola County students. Mr. Weiser?
I would offer a amendment to the motion on the table to extend the Florida Cyber Academy charter for 1 year.
Second. Discussion.
Mr. Wheeler?
Is anybody from this charter operator in the audience? Can you mind if
Please.
Come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Explain why you think you're going to be successful with high school students when you really haven't been based compared to us. How's that work?
Well, I think, thank you for bringing me up, and Dr. Pace, thank you for all of the time that you've spent with Karen Gadati and our team.
Let me ask the question again. Explain to me why you think you're going to be successful with high school students when you compare your results to what we're doing with our schools. You are clearly falling short. And let me finish. If we had a high school performing at the level you were performing at, I'd be in Dr. Pace's office asking her to fire some people. So now that you know that, explain why you're going to be successful.
Thank you. I think with the cap on the grade levels, our school has proven, and we have data that we have submitted, that the longer a student stays in the school, the higher that they perform. So with the caps on the grade levels, our intent is that the current 8th graders move into 9th grade and so on. They go up to 10th to 11th. And so actually we have no openings for high school students, for any new high school students right now. And so the idea is that they'll understand the model, they'll be used to it, they will stay, and they will perform to the level of the expectations of the district. And that is what we are committed to do.
So you find teenagers to be that self-motivated that they can do it online. Okay, the next question I've got for you is, explain to me why you think you'll be successful without a principal.
Well, we do have principals. We're right now have a vacancy in our head of school position, but we do have a middle school and high school principal, and we also have an elementary school
How long has the
principal.
head of school position been open?
Since the end of February.
It's a long time.
And we are down at our final candidates because we want the best person for the job. I have been with the school. I'm the regional vice president of K-12, and I've been with the school for 3 years, so I've been through this process. I've helped turn this school around. And I intend to fully remain and continue to watch this process and ensure that every student does succeed up to your expectations.
If you were turning this around, you wouldn't have agreed to a cap on your high school enrollment, and you wouldn't have an anticipated 50% graduation rate. Okay, I admire your enthusiasm and your optimism. I don't necessarily share it, which I hope I'm wrong, but I find the results suspect, and I hope you perform, but these are, if we're approving this, I don't care where the kids reside, these are our kids. And every kid deserves to go to a great school and have great leadership. When you do hire that head of school, please bring him or her to a board meeting so we can meet them.
Absolutely, will do.
Thank you.
I didn't catch your name, ma'am.
It's Sharon Williams.
Sharon Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, thank you for coming forward tonight.
Thank you.
I guess my question would be, are we then What you're saying is that we're going to have to wait 3 years to see the really improved graduation
No,
rates?
I don't believe that, because some of the students do leave, and we're at a point where we're going to have to we do have other schools in the state, and so we'll have to move some of those students. So I don't think we're going to wait 3 years, and that's not our intention. We are steadily going up. This board asked us to make sure that we meet 95% testing. Last year, we got 97%. This year, we believe the unofficial rate is also 97%, and we did not get an F, we did get a C. And so I know that we're steadily going forward and upward, and that is our full intent.
Okay, great, because I don't believe, I know and I can only speak for myself here, that I wouldn't be willing to wait 3 years. If it was 50 again next year, I won't be voting for any renewal at all. But I do appreciate all the work you all have put in. I appreciate you being here tonight. I appreciate you coming forward and speaking to us. Board, anybody else? So we have a motion on the table by Mr. Weisshire. I believe that was a second by Mr. Wheeler for an extension of not 3 years, but 1 year, which is an amendment to what is in the board packet. So a 1 year extension as submitted. Board, I'll call that question. All in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on, board, we are down to our number 16, which is regular agenda items, human resources.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 16.03 to approve all of the human resources agenda items at once.
Okay, hold on, just a second.
Sure, I'm sorry.
Mr. Krumpenbacher.
Yes.
Are we all good on our motion that we made? I think we went a little back and forth there. Mr. Weisshire, why don't you say what you said?
Yeah, just the point was that there was a motion on the floor for the 3-year renewal. I made an amendment to that motion. We voted on that to amend the main motion to reflect that it would be a 1-year extension as opposed to 3. And my point was solely that we should now vote on the motion as amended as opposed to just moving on, because there was a standing motion on the floor that I made a motion to amend.
Oh, so you never called a vote on the motion?
We called a question on the amendment, and now we need to call it on the main motion as amended.
Okay, the main motion as amended for a 1-year extension was made by Mr. Weisshire, seconded by Mr. Wheeler. I'll call that question. Board, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Tanya, you got that?
I've been reading Robert's rules. I'm impressed.
Thank you, Mr.
Pretty
Weisshire.
well, I got to be honest with you.
All right. Board, down to number 16, regular agenda items.
I'll make a
under
motion
human
for
resources.
item 16.03 to approve all regular items as submitted under human resources.
So I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler and a second by Mr. Thacker. Any discussion, board? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Board facilities. Now, after we vote, okay, individually, she says. All right, so we need to do these. So scratch 17.3.
I'll make a motion to approve 17.01.
Second.
So I have a motion by Mr. Weisshire, second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 17.02 as submitted.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Weisshire for 17.02. Any discussion, board? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we have our 12.03.
So, yes, sir, I would move to approval of 12.03.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Weisshire, second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion?
Discussion.
Yep, that's right, Mr.
I
Thacker.
need to abstain from voting on item 12.03 for the contract amendment for Moss and Associates. My son is a employee of Moss and Associates, and to avoid any appearance of a conflict, I'll abstain from voting, and I will fill out the necessary paperwork.
But they're taking $1.3 million less.
That's all right. Thank you, Mr. Thacker.
With the bad, yes, I don't know.
So, motion by Mr. Weisshire, second by Mr. Wheeler. Is that correct?
Yes.
Board, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries 4-0 with one abstention being Mr. Thacker. That moves us to agenda item number 18, which is our superintendent's recommendations. Dr. Pace, I got to turn it over.
Thank you, Chairman Booth, and thank you, members of the board, for granting us the opportunity to move superintendent's recommendations to later in the agenda. And thank you to all the family members and supporters who have been very, very patient tonight as we worked through the rest of our agenda. But we do have some exciting appointments and transfers to recommend for your approval board that will really just about get our administrative teams in place as we move forward into the summer and planning for the upcoming school year. First, we have a couple of administrative transfers. I'll just have Ms. Olmeda Garcia stand at her seat if she would, please. We have asked Mr. Umbaugh, currently the Director of Continuous Improvement, to take on the role of Coordinator of Career and Technical Education, Adult Education, supporting Ms. Devanovitz and the tremendous growth that we've had in our CTE and adult ed programs, as well as then Ms. Evelith Olmeda Garcia, who did a fabulous job with graduations and has been very helpful in the Director of Secondary Education, to take on the role of Director of Continuous Improvement, to really support that Beyond Accountability, as well as Central Avenue with the SIG4 grant and other schools in need of improvement throughout the district. And Ms. Olmeda Garcia, once again, is a true team player. She says, I'll do what you need me to do.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Wheeler, a second by Mr. Weissauer. Board, any discussion? Let's say congratulations.
Thank you.
This is board, and this is 18.02, correct? No.
That was 18.01, administrative transfers.
Administrative transfers, okay, 18.01.
That brings us to 18.0.
Hold on, we didn't vote.
Got to vote.
1801.
Weishire,
Weissauer, Wheeler.
W and W.
actually Wheeler, Weishire.
Wheeler, Weissauer. WW. Just pick one, they'll be good.
W for the win.
I just say congratulations, and now I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Pace.
Okay, that brings us to 18.02. Mr. Anthony Cook, step right on up.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. I think many of you are familiar with the great work that Mr. Cook has done as our college and career counselor at Point Siena High School. He has been a teacher and school counselor at Bella Lago, at Point Siena High. He's received his bachelor's degree in counseling from Florida Christian College and a master's degree in marriage and family couples therapy with an endorsement in school counseling from Stetson University. And as you know, Mr. Cook has been truly instrumental in our Got College initiative, not just at Point Siena High School, but throughout the district. And I'm pleased to recommend him to assume the role of coordinator of college and career counseling.
Move for approval.
Second.
So I have a motion by Mr. Thacker, a second by Mr. Weissauer. Board, I would say this, the first time we met was at the Got College event. We were there with the person that had the position before you, I believe. And I can't tell you that these two individuals that we met there that day were extraordinary individuals. And so we appreciate all the work that you, and I this is perfect again. So congratulations. We're glad to have you here. It's a big position, especially for what this board asked for. So thank you for taking on.
I appreciate that you're wearing Celebration High School colors.
He's not repping the P tonight.
I'll just add this. The PHS students are going to be devastated when they hear that Mr. Cook is not going to be there. I'm at that school a number of times throughout the year, and one time every year I go at his request to speak to the students on College Decision Day. And I walk in and I'm great and I'm amazing and all these things, but it's really nothing in comparison to the standing ovation this guy gets every time he just walks in the room. The kids love him. He's done great work. He's a personal friend, but I'm really proud of who he is, what he does, and I know, Anthony, you're going to do a great job for us at the school district and replicate what you've done at PHS across this community, so thank you.
Mr. Thacker?
And I just want to echo, too, that I, too, met you several years ago, I think maybe before I even was elected to the board.
I think it was 4 years ago.
Where we sat at a table with you, and your energy was very enlightening, and your epitome of what really is great among a lot of our professionals in this business. So I'm very happy to see this for you and excited for you.
And the best thing about them are the three people we'll get to meet in a minute in the back of the room.
That's right.
Yeah, but before we do that, let's take a vote. We have a motion by Mr. Thacker, a second by Mr. Weissauer. Board, we've had all our discussion, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations. If you'd like to say a few words and introduce the folks you have here.
I feel like I've been preparing this speech for 37 years.
Long speech.
But yeah. So there's like, because I said it in my interviews, I'm an Osceola County boy, so I feel like there's a lot of people that I would thank, because I really would not be here if it wasn't for certain teachers at very specific points in my life, from 3rd grade all the way through my senior year at Osceola High School. But I definitely want to thank all of those that took the time to interview me, that are sitting in here: Dr. Fritz, Dr. Reinhardt, Dr. Pace, Miss Almeida Garcia's in the back, Miss Schumacher. They put up with my long-winded answers and still roll with the punches. So I really do appreciate that. And I'm very thankful for this opportunity. I'm hoping that I can represent this district, as I firmly believe in giving back to what's been done for me, and that's been done here at this district. I'm really looking forward to being able to do some great things. So I'm hoping that this was the right hire. I'm hoping that
It better be.
hoping I can get this done the right way. But my main supporters are part of my Fantastic Four: my son Jaden, who's sitting in the back, my daughter Layla, she's got my phone in her hand, and then my son Xavier, he's trying to duck behind people. I don't know what that's about because he's not the shy one, but those are my 3 amigos right there. So they're here with me. Shout out to our principal that showed up tonight. One of our counselors, Miss Ceballos, showed up. So I just really appreciate all the support, all the nice things that y'all said about me. So hopefully I will honor and uphold all those things. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you.
You can tell he's a friend of mine because he's just as long-winded as I am. So.
Yeah, but you're an easy
No,
act
you'd still be talking.
But you're an easy act to follow. He gets a standing ovation after you.
The next guy won't be long-winded. Step on out, Mr. Gould. Board, I'm pleased to recommend Mr. Russell Gould for our new position of Coordinator of Safety, Security, and Emergency Management. As we really dug into the school safety and security bill and the requirements that were going to be a part of that, we recognize that our Director of Safety and Security, Mr. Yates, just could not do this on his own. The first person that I thought of was Mr. Gould, having worked with him at Poinciana High School, having observed his work at Horizon Middle. I'm absolutely confident he'll bring a lot to the group. He's received his bachelor's degree in art from Wittenberg University, a master's degree in educational leadership from National Louis University, and another master's degree in curriculum and instruction from the University of Phoenix. And I'm honored to recommend Mr. Russell Gould, Board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Weissauer, second by Mr. Wheeler, and congratulations to you as soon as we vote. But I just wanted to say, you know, in this day and age, it's a big job. It's a tough job. And Dr. Pace has a ton of confidence in you, and her team does. So we appreciate you answering this call. So, Board, anything else?
Congratulations.
So all those in favor, Board, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. I first want to say, Board and Dr. Pace and district leadership, you know, I've had a lot of great people along the way as mentors and teaching me the right way to do things. You know, starting back with Dr. Pace at Poinciana High School and then continuing on with Dwayne Hines and Michelle Henninger and Michael Balloon at Horizon. So I know it's a big task. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I look forward to serving you guys the best I can. So thank you.
So you're not serving us, you're serving the kids and the parents of Osceola County, so thank you.
Very
Yep.
true.
Yeah,
And I would like to also point out that my lovely wife, Megan Gould, is here as well, and I got 3 kids watching at home on TV because you all didn't want them here. Thank you.
Congratulations.
That brings us, Board, to 18.04. Ms. Elizabeth Terry, please step right up. Board, I'm honored to recommend Ms. Terry as the Assistant Principal for Boggy Creek Elementary School. She has served there as the MTSS coach and a teacher and learning resource specialist since 2010. She received her bachelor's degree in education and a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Central Florida, and her little people have been incredibly patient today. We're so proud of them.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
She's noisy.
So we have a motion by Mr. Weissauer, second by Mr. Thacker. Board, any discussion? No. Congratulations. Board, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, seeing none, motion carries 5-0. floor is yours.
Well, I'd like to thank the board and Dr. Pace, and especially Dr. Fritz. He's known me since Tampa in middle school when I was a child, and Dr. Respis for your support.
How old are you, Dr. Fritz?
Hey, old man.
And then my husband's here, and my dad and mom and my brother, and then my two little ones, my 2- and 4-year-old.
Awesome.
So
That's
thank
great.
you.
Where are they at? Make them stand up. We want to see.
Well, your daughter's not cute enough.
There he
We
is.
had to move
There we
her to
go.
the back.
How's it going? There we go.
All right.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to you. Thank you.
And you kids are doing awesome, by the way. You kids are doing awesome.
That brings us to 18.05, Ms. Juergens. With the exodus of Mr. Gould to the district office to serve in our safety and security office, that leaves a critical position at Horizon Middle School, and I'm pleased to recommend Ms. Andrea Juergens to be our assistant principal there. During her career, she's been a teacher at Denjon Middle, a dean of students at Denjon Middle, math and science coach at Denjon Middle, an instructor and curriculum specialist for Florida Virtual School, teacher at Narcoossee Middle, dean of students at Narcoossee Middle, and currently has served as our secondary mathematics resource teacher. She received her bachelor's degree in math education from Purdue University and a master's degree in educational leadership from Stetson University, and I know she'll be a great addition to Mr. Ballone and his team.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Give a motion to Mr. Wheeler, a second to Mr. Thacker. I think you've got unanimous approval up here. So, congratulations. The board, any discussions? We'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you so much. Dr. Pace and your amazing leadership team and the board members, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have said multiple times to Mr. Allen and Dr. Reinhardt that I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I have faith that your team knows and when I was the best fit and going to the right place. When I was at Narcoossee, I would always speak with the students about the butterfly effect and how everything you do matters, and every choice you make, every action you take affects people that you may not even know, and I'm really excited to apply that butterfly effect to a new community of students and parents and teachers at Horizon. So thank you very much. You know the saying, it takes a village. I brought some of my village with me, my parents and my kids, and my husband is in Cincinnati grading AP papers, and he's watching, so hi. And I'm really excited to build a bigger village with Horizon. So thank you very much.
And that brings us to 18.06, Mr. Jared Stewart.
Oh, I definitely have some discussion on this one.
Board, I'm pleased to recommend Mr. Jared Stewart be welcomed back into the fold of the Osceola County family and back into the fold at Osceola High School Cowboy. He has been a teacher at Reedy Creek, a teacher at Pleasant Hill, a dean at Neptune Middle, and currently serves as the assistant principal at Discovery Middle in Orange County. He received his bachelor's degree in business administration from Belhaven University and a master's degree in educational leadership from Lamar University, and he's sporting his Cowboy colors.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Weissauer, second by Mr. Thacker. I thought those were Seahawk colors, by the way.
Well, you know.
But yeah, he's putting it all in there.
Navy.
So, board, I'll call for a vote. Do we, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
Jared, welcome home. You should have never left.
I was waiting for the right opportunity.
I know, but we're glad you're back.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So I wrote down my notes because I have a tendency, like Mr. Cook, to be long-winded. I'm also a friend of Mr. Weissauer, so I get it. Thank you to Dr. Pace and her staff and team and the school board. I am so excited to be back in Osceola County, and more specifically back at OHS. Once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy, so I'm glad to be back there. I'm here with my amazing wife, Melanie, and my mom. And my admin team from OHS. They're here to support me. So Dr. Campbell is here, along with the rest of the admin team there. I'm super excited to join that team. And I just want to say thank you again for this incredible opportunity. I really look forward to helping OHS to kind of maintain some momentum and continue working towards that journey to moving from good to great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Before you do, I have a quick comment. And, you know, Jared and Anthony do happen to be personal friends of mine, but I think that the thing that I'm the most proud of is that we have, and where did you go to school? You didn't grow up here, did you? Gould? Yeah.
No, Ohio.
Yeah, we're not going to hold that against you.
Hey, you're smart enough to come here.
I'm changing my vote.
Yeah, you're not a Buckeye, are you?
It depends. Does it change other votes?
Yes, it does.
You went to Wittenberg if you didn't pay attention. I did.
I'm proud that we have 2 Osceola graduates ascending to these positions and taking on such important roles in our community, and it really speaks to the vision and desire of this board and this entire leadership team of what we do to grow students and have them reinvest right here in this community and make a difference for the next generation of students that are raising in Osceola County. And so, you know, we're proud of all you guys. We're excited about the work, but I just couldn't miss the opportunity to say how grateful I am, Mr. Cook, for what you've been doing, what you're going to continue to do, and Mr. Stewart for the work that you're going to continue to do at OHS. Really proud of you guys.
Yep.
Take those. Now take your kids and give them dinner.
Well, I just want to say again, thank you so much to the families for your continued support, as well as the full administrative teams here tonight. This is just the beginning of the work that it requires to support administrators as they move forward, but don't think for a moment that we take for granted that love and support that you provide when they're doing the hard work that they do to serve our students. So thank you.
And here's what we'll do at this time. We'll take a quick 1 minute. We're not going to get up from the dais, but we'll give you a minute. If you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, if you'd like to clear out, you can do that at this time.
Good stuff is coming.
Huh? We're almost done, but I tell you what, you guys have been here for a long
I
time.
got little kids.
You were told
Oh,
you
okay.
couldn't.
Go ahead. Actually, we're going to take a 2-minute recess.
I'm gonna
2-minute
do
recess. Jeez, we were almost done. Now you're all getting up.
I know, they don't want people to leave. They could have.
The only thing you guys need to talk about is, like, we may want to talk about legislative priorities. Like maybe on our June 19th business, our June 19th meeting, we put it on as new business, maybe?
Do we need to do it before that? Or?
That'll work, June 19th, but I want you guys to be thinking about it.
Then we can strategic plan on that, right? Do we need to have a workshop with our lobbying team? Or?
Well, that was, I think you guys probably will want one.
You got to know what's available out there.
Not a lot.
Well, the wins aren't always money, like this year. All we have is Frank, you.
I don't have anything else as long as it's a legislative priority piece. That's all I have.
Yes. Okay. I'll just add it down here to board member comments.
Okay, good. Let's get this finished. Sorry. That's so awesome. That's too funny.
After they approve the
Over under 7.
You're saying
Over under 7 minutes? No.
the decision of the final.
Oh, I think under.
It better be under.
No, I think you're set.
Unless Dr. Pace is long-winded.
I have nothing.
Once they
You think we'll go over? Okay. You're taking over. I'll take the under.
Got nothing.
You run the meeting.
I think we need to revisit our.
I'll take it way under on that.
Once it's
Mr. Soto.
the only other option they've got to.
He ran out loud.
You never left the room. Yeah.
That's for after the meeting, Kelvin.
Court of Appeals. So.
Right. We know.
That's my understanding of it now.
Yes, we're waiting on you. There's 4 of us up here.
We'll call this meeting back to order. So we have, we'll turn it over, or we may not need to turn it over to him, but we'll ask Mr. Krumpenbacher for any comment.
Yes, several. If you recall, we did an agreement with the county regarding Rio City. And there was a paragraph in the agreement that we negotiated to change, which was one that, the new language, the county has just agreed to.
Mr. Crump, I don't mean to interrupt you, but they're gonna yell at me in a minute.
The new language would provide that if we stay in the facility for 20 years, we then own it outright.
In Neo City.
Yes, if we leave sooner than 20 years, or we stop using it for school purposes in less than 20 years, we would pay the market value not to exceed $400,000 an acre. Okay? And that was better than the original language, which would have always had us pay potentially whatever the appraised value came back as. I got a call from the county staff. That they've come up with, technically, they want an amendment executed to the agreement. So they want to keep the original agreement, do an amendment to it, and I just wanted to advise the board, it's my interpretation, based upon the prior discussions and authorization of the board, that we would have the authority to execute that amendment and not have to wait time, because we really want to get this locked down and moving.
The amendment covers the first part you were talking about,
Yes.
relative to own, okay, I wasn't
Yes,
sure what the
yeah.
amendment was for, okay.
It does what we said we wanted it to do,
Got
to
it.
insulate us. And bottom line is, we're going to end up owning it outright, because we're not going to be leaving it. Right.
Do you have anything else?
Yes.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Thacker, yes.
I guess part of my question is on that, we paid for the property. The money that was owed to us from Beaumont Middle School already.
That's our interpretation, by the way.
That's not theirs. So the original agreement was paid. You recall, Board Member Watshire raised an issue about it. We said, okay, we'll go back and tell them we don't want to pay for it. And what we came up with was, use it for 20 years for the district and it's yours.
But then we should have gotten our 10% or whatever, I don't remember what the thing was, from the Beaumont property.
Mr. Watson.
I don't know,
I don't have the Beaumont agreement in front of us, so I can't.
I can speak to that, Mr. Thacker, because Mr. Kruppenbacher and myself, Dr. Pace and I think even Rhonda Blake and I had a conversation about this, because you guys will recall I was pretty vocal about this piece. And where we're ending up with this amended agreement, I think in a lot of ways came out of some of the conversation that you and I had, Mr. Kruppenbacher, about how to massage what the county was proposing in a way that would ultimately be palatable to the school board. Fundamentally, I agree, and that was my original thing. It's fine if we're going to pay for this property at some point down the road, then the money that we would have received for the Beaumont site should then revert back to the school board. The way that we've drafted and the way that Mr. Kruppenbacher has ultimately drafted this, though, is the only way there's a cost factor for the school board is if we don't use it. And I have a clarification I want to get from you on that, is if we don't use it any more within that 20-year period. And none of us see that being anything even close to being likely. And so because of that piece, I was comfortable with the idea that ultimately us and no future school board is ever going to pay any additional money for that site, because I can't see any school board at any point in time making a decision that would ultimately trigger the expense of a 5-acre site, right? 5-acre site at $400,000 an acre and taking on that $2 million expense. So I was comfortable with where we ended up on it. The clarification that I wanted to seek, though, is when we had spoke about it, it was if we were not using it as a school district for any educational purposes.
We're not using it for the
right?
school district purposes.
Right, because we could then use that facility if we wanted for a different purpose, not have Neo City
Offices,
Academy,
exactly.
move offices, do admin, whatever. And so because of that and because of the investment we're making in the facility and the programming there, I wasn't concerned about that reversion piece. I felt like it provided the safety that we needed.
And not to throw a fly in the ointment with all this, but how does it interpret relative to, we use it, we're using it, we have every intention of using it, but all of a sudden there is some sort of a natural disaster or catastrophe that makes the building uninhabitable for a period of time, et cetera. I mean, and I realize that is the
You
exception.
say it was an act of God, and neither side contractually, it's force majeure, is bound by that provision.
Okay,
And then you go back to.
Okay, and I realize that is highly unlikely, But I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay.
And-
That building goes down, we got other problems.
Yeah, and
You're
board.
right, no, you're right, I get it.
The language that we're using with this NeoCity agreement is very similar to the language we ultimately utilized when we were doing the OTEC expansion in the Poinciana market as well. If you remember, we were able to utilize the grant that was available for the acquisition of that real estate. And the way we were able to do that was by also saying that if we didn't use the property for any purposes, we're going to sell it within 5 years, I think was the thing on that. So this is in concert with what we've done in previous times. So.
No, I'm okay with the amendment. That's good.
Frank, the only other question I had is, the original agreement, is there any risk that we have by agreeing that it's an amendment to the original agreement?
All the amendment says is paragraph 4 is amended as follows. The rest of the agreement's all intact.
Okay. So there's no...
No, we're zipped up.
Okay.
Rick?
Members of the board, I would like you to, if you could agree, to schedule for 8 o'clock. Tanya, on July 31st is what day of the week?
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday. For 8 o'clock that morning, a hearing in anticipation that you would be resolving either one or both parties rejecting the special magistrate's decision in the current impasse that is going on between the superintendent's bargaining position and the bargaining position of the teachers union and the paraclassified group.
Board and Mr. Covenbucker, I've got a request. I fly back to the board at 11:30 from California. Can we move that to 8:30 or 9, just give me a little bit of a break?
That's fine.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
8:15 it is.
9 o'clock, so. Can we do 9 o'clock, board?
This is a placeholder, if everybody comes out and agrees, it's just.
If everybody agrees, then you don't have to, that comes back to you as a different agreement. We won't need this, but I need to prepare for the chairman an appropriate order to both parties that tell them what they're going to be expected to do, the timeframes, et cetera. So you know, this is a quasi-judicial hearing where you will act as the independent deciders. The only parties that will be speaking at that will be the superintendent and/or the superintendent's representative, the union representative, and their representative, and that's it. There's no public input. You'll hear whatever the positions are, and then you'll make your decision accordingly.
Or can we do 9 a.m., please?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So July 31st, would you add that to our calendar? Thank you.
And Tanya, I'll get with you on how to word the notice on that.
Breakfast today.
Thank you.
Do not get 7-Dip donuts.
I'll be here.
Because I love them.
The next item is Four Corners Charter School. I would ask, for the purposes of assuring that we have our records in order, a motion to authorize finance to reflect that the monies due under the March 2009 agreement by and between the School Board of Osceola County, Florida, and Four Corners Charter School are authorized to be used for charter purposes as approved by the Charter Board, and monies due going forward from this date forward would be collectible under the agreement and payable to the school district.
Can you provide just some rationale? I'm missing something here.
You were due to be paid effectively $20,000 annually from Four Corners Charter School under that agreement.
Right, I remember that now, okay.
It has never been paid.
Right.
Which means a state auditor could come in, and if they found that document and didn't find payments and didn't find that the district, there would be a cited finding as it relates to staff, which would be an unfair finding. So when this came to my attention at the last Four Corners, I said, guys, the board's got to document this, because one group is saying that somewhere in the past, one or more board members said you didn't have to pay it, et cetera. So this is really cleaning up the books and saying that the money that's there now, that's available, as opposed to it being repaid to the board, to the school district, can be used for the purposes of the charter school as approved by the charter school board. And then from this month going forward, this new year going forward, that $20,000 has to be paid to the school district for each future year. So do you need me to make a if you just want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, based on what Mr. Krumbacher said, that's my motion.
Well said, Mr. Wheeler. I'll second that motion.
Appreciate that, Mr. Weissauer.
I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler, a second by Mr. Weishauer. And just for clarification for the community, for anybody here that's left, or for anybody, Four Corners is a unique institution. The building, I believe, it is owned by the Osceola County School District. It accepts kids. Most of the kids come from Polk, but the Polk County doesn't participate. We do have some participation from Lake County, who also has some students. Orange County has some students. So it's Four Corners.
And the governing board consists of myself,
Yeah,
you, and Mr.
the
Wheeler.
governing board is, the chairman of the Four Corners board is also the chairman of this board. So that's how that works. So just some clarification for the community. So it's kind of Peter Paul here, but we certainly want to make sure for auditing purposes that we're doing everything correctly. I don't know what past boards did, but we're going to get it straightened up. So motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Weishauer. Board, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And that wipes out.
One last thing, Mr.
Nope, sorry,
Chairman,
go
just to
ahead.
mention to y'all. If you recall, several months ago, we were sued in what's called the best and brightest litigation, every school district in the state for following the state law.
Repeat that, we were sued for following the state law.
Right. Discovery's been ongoing. A request was made for all the emails of the union and the union reps for the past 5 years. There's an email I'll send around to you, you will enjoy, in which the union, one of the union leaders, the main leaders, points out that the school districts don't need to be sued, but because possibly the judge would think that, we're going to throw them in. And I bring it up to you publicly because I've watched you and this superintendent doing everything you can to make every dollar available for the benefit of the students and the employees. When I look at a document that says they don't really need to be sued, but we're having to waste not just the money on legal fees, but the amount of time that Tom and other people have had to do to get records in this discovery process, to me, that's the type of stuff I do talk about publicly. Don't tell me you care about quality education when you name us in a suit and your own people are acknowledging at the leadership level we didn't need to be in it. So I'll get off my soapbox, it just annoys me.
I'd be in agreement.
I think we're all really annoyed. Email and do a press release with it and show it to everybody what the union said.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Crumberwood? Thank you for that. Dr. Pace? Nope.
The only thing that I would suggest that the board be thinking about is legislative priorities for the upcoming school year and whether or not you as a board want us to schedule a workshop with our legislative lobbyists. That would be our lay lobbyists as well as Mr. Horner with Macy Island and potentially Rutledge UCENIA. All groups are willing to come and be a part of a discussion with you. We will have an Olay meeting at the end of the month to discuss priorities moving forward as a board. But I would like to have some discussion with the board at our June 19th meeting under new business or old business, wherever I guess maybe old business at this point in time, but probably new business since we've not discussed it officially, about what you're thinking and what you'd like to see from here.
Board, I would be in favor of the workshop. Do we have, I know we've been doing this every year. I think it's beneficial for all of us to know what, we all ask for more operating dollars because we all want to pay our teachers more, but certainly that's not a priority. So we of the state. So we have to go forward with what we can do, what we can get. So certainly I'm in favor of the workshop. Mr. Weishauer?
Thank you, Mr. Booth. I agree. I spoke briefly with the superintendent about this and expressed my desire to have all of those that are working for us as lobbyists in different capacities come in and share with us, I think maybe to your point, Mr. Booth, some big picture strategy pieces from their side. They're on the ground every day. They understand what the landscape is and where there may be opportunities. So I think our board has done a really good job over the years of identifying what our legislative priorities should be and then working effectively to accomplish those. But I would want to see our lobbyists come in and share some insight and some opinion from their perspective, not decide what our policy should be, but to provide some information for us so that we can start thinking at a 30,000-foot level with their insight and knowledge into the conversation.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know if we really need discussion amongst ourselves, Dr. Pace, more than we need to have a workshop. Then we can have that discussion amongst ourselves of what we want our priorities to be. So I guess, do we have an open meeting, an open June, July date that has open time? I guess probably out of the question for June.
Well,
what about July 31st?
Well, you've just scheduled a potential impasse hearing in the morning on July 31st, and we have...
How about 9:05?
Other than that, we have our 5:30 meeting. So if you wanted to have, for example, potentially, say, a 2 o'clock workshop from 2 to 5,
yeah,
we could do that on July 31st if everybody's going to be here. We'll certainly be here.
That's one day I'm here. Since June 19th, I will not be here. I got a conference on it for work. So July 31st, sure.
Did you say do it in the afternoon?
Like maybe 2 o'clock?
Before the board
5:30
meeting.
board meeting?
I'll be a
Oh, we have a
zombie,
board
but I'll
meeting.
do it.
On the 31st, is that what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying?
I get in at 11.
That's an important board meeting because you'll be adopting the tentative budget.
Fine, it's just not for some reason on my schedule, but that doesn't mean anything.
Why isn't that, Tanya?
Okay, so do you want me to try to contact our lobbyists and
Yeah,
see
if
if
they
they're
can do-
available on July the 31st at 2 o'clock?
We can't do the 10th, though. The 10th is out. We already have something going on the 10th.
10th of
I'm out of town on the 10th, but you can do it if
Oh,
you'd
okay.
like.
No. That's fine. I'm good with 31st. Yep.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
I'll
Mr.
work
Wheeler.
around that.
Our retreat is scheduled with the 27th.
Well, we're getting to that. We're not quite there yet.
Okay. Okay. June 19th, I will not.
So I'd like to move in to talk about our retreat.
Thank you.
It's getting that time.
That's scheduled for, you missed 7 o'clock. Richard.
I know.
But,
Clarence wins.
So you're scheduled for the 27th for that retreat?
We changed that from the 20-something to the 27th. We just changed it.
It's currently June 27th at 6 o'clock, and we have a room set up at our Osceola Heritage Park.
I can't do it. I mean, if you guys want to do it, I trust you guys. I'm just trying to look at what
I thought you were there the day we picked the date.
I was not. I was not.
That's why we picked the date.
Okay, let me take a look at.
I'm all in at keeping it now that Jay can't come.
Hold on.
It's June 27th, Wednesday, at 6 o'clock at OHP.
I can do.
Board retreat for strategic planning.
I can do June 22. And I can host it probably also at my office if you want again. I could probably, maybe able to do June 21 also, but that whole week, 25th to the 29th.
The district is closed that day, but that's.
Well, Dr. Pace can't do the 21st because we just changed our administrative dinner from the 21st to the 20th because she will not be in town on the 21st.
Okay.
Correct, I have to be in Fort Lauderdale.
And I can't.
Can we go later?
You guys can do the 27th. I mean, the whole week, July 1 to like July 12, I'm not even around. I mean,
On the 27th.
I'm here July 13th, the district's closed that day too. I mean,
You're out on the 27th of June?
Clarence is too, so.
But I'll fly back or something for the day.
Let me look at my schedule for June. Hold on, I got June. Hang on, my schedule's just really horrible. Hang on, I'm getting there. Let me just see when I get back from another conference. I apologize, board.
First week of July, everybody's out?
Hold on.
Available.
Yeah, that's America.
I mean, July 4th, we won't have a meeting on July 4th, but
July 4th July 4th I can do.
Are you kidding me?
I can. I mean, that's a Ricky said. July 2nd, I'm driving back and forth to Tuscaloosa July 2nd and 3rd. And then I leave town on the 5th.
I'll do this for a second.
what about July 10th?
I'm out of town.
I can do it.
But we'd have to do it during the day before the board meeting.
I'm out of town.
Oh, I am. I'm on vacation July 10th.
That's right.
I'm looking at the,
Well, we got 6 people
I
here.
can
with
do
six
I can do the 14th.
of July?
What day of the week is that?
Saturday.
Oh, I didn't even look, okay. I didn't know.
Sounds
No,
good.
the end, from like June 26th to July 21, I'm just booked. I mean, I'm booked. So if you guys want to do it, I mean, I trust you guys, I just can't do it.
What do you look like?
Or I'm actually from July, like, from June 13th almost to July 21, I am solidly booked for work.
When do you get back, Carter?
29th.
During the morning?
I could come back the 28th, easy, a lot easier.
I
Just 2 days.
I can't do 28 or 29.
Okay. If you guys want to do it on July the 10th, if that works for everybody, prior to a board meeting, but I can come back.
I can't be here. No,
No.
No. What about the week of the 16th?
July?
That's when Ricky's gone.
Yes, I won't be here that week at all. I'm here, I got a lot of flexibility up until then, but apparently you guys don't have any flexibility.
I mean, I'm good July 23rd or 24th. That's a Monday.
Do it in October.
I'm good July 23rd and 24th. I mean, and then I leave again the 25th for California. I mean, I'm here the 23rd and 24th. If one of the, and I can host it if you want. I can get that same conference room again. Can we do one of those days?
I'm available.
Okay, that's 2 of us.
Which day?
23rd or 24th of July? Those are really the only days I've got.
No.
Tim already said no.
Want to do the 31st after we do our
Yeah.
the 31st or August
Yeah, do
1st?
the 31st.
August 1st? I think I'm here August 1st. Let me check. Hold on.
Getting awful close to school starting.
Well, you know, we're,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Tim has to be.
August 6th.
I can do August, yeah, I'm here, the beginning of August I'm here.
When is the earliest you believe you could do it, Dr. Pace?
We have our strategic planning workshop with you on June 19th,
So anytime after that?
anytime after June 19th.
I can do August 1 or 2. It looks like it's okay with me.
And nobody can do the 21st or the
I can't.
22nd?
Oh, that's our
I
June,
can't.
June,
19th? First?
June 20th and 21st is our Administrator Academy,
She's
remember?
gone the 21st.
What about the 19th?
That's the meeting. That's the school board
I can
meeting.
do August 1, 2, or 3, 1 or 2.
And I'm gone the 25th and 26th.
Is the 19th
Me too.
available
I'm
for the
gonna-
morning?
I'm leaving the morning.
No, because we're doing our strategic planning that day at the board meeting. And so we need it to be after June 19th.
Yeah, the 23rd and 24th, I can do, but other people can't. I can do August 1 or August 2
The 5th or the 6th
of,
of July?
I'm not here.
Okay, I have an idea.
Let's just submit some dates to Tanya and let you guys sort it out.
What if we moved our strategic plan board workshop to the morning of the 19th, say 9 o'clock, and then we take an hour or so for lunch, and then you and I could meet from, say, 1 to 4 or whatever in the afternoon, and we have our board meeting.
Bam.
Okay, I
We're
won't
there
be
all
here.
day, we knock it out, it will, you know,
You're
it'll be
moving the
fresh
20 okay,
it'll
I
be
won't
fresh
be-
on your mind in terms of what's happening. You're not here on the 19th?
I won't be here. I'm not here the 19th.
June.
I mean, I trust
Jane's
you
not
guys.
here for like 2 months.
The sooner we do it, the sooner you get to do my evaluation. I'm all about getting it done.
Let's do it tomorrow.
I don't I can do, tomorrow I could probably do it.
Jay's not here for like 2 months, so we're just gonna have to.
I know, I had July 23rd and 24th open. I got August 30, July 31st.
So let's do it on June 19th, because otherwise Clarence is out of commission too on the 27th, so.
June 19th, we're together all day.
I can't, I'm not gonna be here. So,
Where are you going?
I got the Florida Recycling Conference. I'm a sponsor there.
Garbage.
So you're not even here for the strategic plan workshop?
Garbage.
Huh?
You're But Clarence is, that's a struggle for Clarence.
On the 27th?
Right.
Yeah.
I can come back.
But he's not here on the 27th either.
No, I'm not here the 27th.
So really and truly, it's what do you four want to do? I am totally flexible. We can move the workshop to the morning of the 19th.
I like your idea.
I'd rather take the whole 19th.
Let's do it.
All right.
It's actually already on my
That's a
schedule
great
for the
idea.
19th now, so let's call
Okay,
it done.
so just plan on spending the day. We'll start at 9 o'clock with the workshop. We'll plan the rest of the day and do our retreat, and it'll be great. Be awesome. Can't wait.
I can't host that one.
We got it right here.
So that brings us to Tim and FSBA.
We have until
For sale
what?
by owners of FSBO.
We have
We have
until
until
8. We have until
7:15.
8 p.m. Is that what you said?
Yeah, right.
This-
7:15.
Just after 7.
Yeah, this will be quick. I just want to bring you guys up to speed. You know, we had a conversation about working with some of our counterparts around the state with the Florida School Boards Association, have a conversation regarding the rising costs of health insurance and the impact that it's having on us as a school district as well as others across the state. So on Wednesday, June 13th at 9 a.m. to 10:30, I'll be hosting a roundtable discussion at our FSBA conference to begin the conversation with other counties. We have, in addition to us, 12 other counties that have already responded to say that they would be there and participate in that conversation. But I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on that. If you're able to be there, it would be really helpful and beneficial. You guys have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that you can bring to the conversation. We are bringing in some people as well that have experience in working in these arenas to try to help move the conversation along. What we'll be doing on the 13th is really just a beginning conversation to tee it up and find out where the further interest levels are with some of these other school districts. We're also working with someone who is engaged with the Florida Sheriff's Association in bringing together an insurance consortium for them to see where there's parallels that we can benefit from in that. So I just want to report to you guys on that. It'll be the beginning of a very important conversation. I know this board is 100% committed to doing everything we can to figure out how do we deal with the rising healthcare costs that are affecting our budget and our trust fund, and this is the beginning of that statewide conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Weishaupt. I know that's something that we've all been asking for, and I'm glad that you're the leader there and getting it done. So
Thanks for
thank you.
stepping up, Tim.
Thank you.
And I know Mr. Thacker is going to try his best to be there, but I know at least you'll be there on behalf of Osceola County as well as your duties as FSBA.
I can't get there till that afternoon.
You can't get anywhere.
I'll be there for 2 nights, but I can't get there till late.
So board, does anybody have anything else to add? Good. I'm going to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Think of it a moment.